Yo, so I skimmed through this post here and thought it would be a great thing to have a dialogue about and talk to you all about. So this post I found here on Reddit. This post is titled "A Big Laundry List of Non-Controversial and Controversial Needed Changes, Fixes, and General Suggestions." And again, I want to go through this and I want to talk my talk about what I think is a good suggestion, what I think is a bad suggestion, and ultimately I want to hear, again, what you all have to say about this, all right? So this post by I almost said Henley Hexley, "Big Laundry List of Non-Controversial and Controversial Needed Changes, Fixes, and General Suggestions," all right? So this individual said, "I put these into the form of bullet points to help with readability and for better odds of folks actually reading my wall of text, but I just really want to list all of my thoughts on what I think would be helpful to the game while also being as reasonable as possible." I respect that. Thank you. "I think the stuff here would help alleviate a lot of the issues the game has while I also just being things," or I think they meant to say, while also just think being things that would make players universally happier and could actually be implemented in something like a reasonable time frame." Look, we may have some grammatical errors here. I ain't gonna judge you, Rapid. I ain't gonna judge you, all right? So the first list we have is general quality of life stuff. Too many to list, but mainly obvious stuff like batch selling. Yes, I nod my head for batch selling. Please, please, please. Or batch purchasing or anything of that nature. Yes, yes, yes. Easier comparison of build stats between shells, implants, etc. Just a better interface for creating a loadout in general. Yes, 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 yes. I cannot tell you how confused I get sometimes when I'm trying to compare implants. Yo, I'm sitting there scratching my head. I'm thinking I'm debuffing myself to smithereens, but I'm really not. And all in all, cleaning that up would be really, really helpful. Fixing the niggles with the gun mod interface. Yes, another thing I am in total agreement with. I shouldn't have to inspect a weapon to be able to see what attachments go where. Like, I think that's an extra step that can be a little bit of a nuisance. I've done it now for, the last several weeks, and I just had to tell one of my homeboys about it, who has been playing Marathon as long as me and didn't know it was a thing, right? I'm not a console player, but cursor speed for the gamepad. Yes, I'm not a controller player either, but yes, give my controller homies control over their cursor speed, please, Bungie. Background queuing. This alleviates some of the inherent pain of queue times. Let folks join into a practice range or arena while they wait. Don't take folks into the loading screen until a match is found. Just lock out inventory modification during queue. This is something I'm personally a bit indifferent on, but if they had it, I wouldn't complain. If I could run around with my kit and just shoot stuff, that'd be cool. I will say that might be a little bit annoying, because what if I have a mod on or I have a weapon with a certain mod on and I don't really vibe with it? Now I'm getting ready to load into a raid with it because my kit is locked from being modified. That might be a little bit like, dang, bro, I kind of want to just leave and get back to the main menu, but still, at least it would give us something. I did see a post where somebody said it would be cool if we could kind of go through the codex while we're loading into a raid, and I think that is another option. Just give us something to do, and again, I think the codex would be great so we can get some lore bits and we can dive in and read stuff or listen to certain audios, so again, we can further flesh out that narrative that Bungie worked so hard to put here into Marathon, Another bullet point list. This one is titled Item Economy. Okay, so the first bullet point is enhance green faction kits. Always include a shield, backpack, and healing items with any or all of these given the compromised status depending on the kit. This leaves free sponsor kits for the truly broke eco runs and gives an option for folks who just need a semi-viable kit as cheap as possible without messing up the existing credit economy. So I think what this individual is talking about is maybe being able to get another free kit, but it's an enhanced kit instead of the baseline white or gray free kits that we're getting right now. I don't really know how to feel about that, even if they're all given a compromised status, because still compromised or not, that individual's going in with green weaponry, a green shield, green heals, or not green heals, but like some quality baseline heals and things of that nature, and they can still throw hands with it. Just because they don't exfil with it doesn't mean that wouldn't be a headache to deal with, if that makes any sense. So I don't really know about that. Now, if we're talking make some of the green faction kits cheaper, because I think right now, if you look at some of the paid kits, I think they start around 2,500, and then there are some kits for like 4K and stuff like that. Making them a little cheaper, I can vibe with, make them a little cheaper and make them compromise. Yeah, we can meet in the middle there. We can meet in the middle there. This individual goes on in the next bullet point by saying, I think this would be more helpful than it appears. Not only does it make getting into proper runs where you have an actual chance easier, it reduces the number of people bringing free kits into squad field by ensuring there's always something super easy you can buy for an affordable price to not be a liability. Okay, so this individual is saying, yes, make this purchasable. Okay, I can gel with that. Mostly blue/purple item barters need to be retuned or allow lower level salvage alternative prices. They're basically useless if you haven't completed that faction. And I am in some agreements here. And also too, I just think they need to take another stab at some of the barters. Like I seen one, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was for like a purple sponsored kit or something like that. And it took 20 to 25 reclaimed biostrippings. That's a blue item, right? Like, I think I may have seen 12 to 15 of them in my 60 hours of playing Marathon. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, nah, dog, nah. You know, like, nah. Maybe Bungie just needs to take another stab at that. So taking a look at all the items that can be bartered for what and seeing what is worth what, so on and so forth, I think, yeah, Bungie, we could take another look at that there, all right? Continuing on here, blue shield upgrade easier to reach. I think this is important because it just gets folks to a TTK breakpoint where you feel like you can generally handle everything while still leaving just enough space above purple and gold shields to feel helpful and worthwhile. Yes, you can theoretically handle anything with a white or green shield, but the degree to which you need to be playing from an advantage is significant. Blue shields are just at the point where playing aggressively becomes properly viable. Yes, I agree with this. I think getting the blue shield barter upgrade is a bit daunting. Now, I know there will be people that say, well, Craig, you can get BioLens seeds from your upgrade packages from some of the factions and things like that. Yes, I am aware of that. There's going to be RNG with that. I'd much rather be in a position to where they lower the amount for the blue shields. You know what I'm saying? I understand purple shields being tough to get. Same thing with like purple backpacks. I understand those being like a high ticket item. Totally get that, right? But the blues should be challenging, but yet achievable. And when I look at what is it, I'm thinking top of mind here. What is it? It's like 7 BioLens seeds and then 3 of another purple barter item or purple salvage item, if I'm not mistaken. And it's like, man, by the time I have the opportunity to just outright purchase blue shields, we're going to be looking at the wipe. You know what I'm saying? I'm an individual that can play 12 to 15 hours a week, give or take, outside of the workplace and my husband duties and all that stuff, right? So again, I'm like halfway to being able to get blue shields, and I do have a vault full of blue shields right now because I've taken them off of runners. You know, I had to run in pockets, but still, I want to be able to like purchase them so that I can run through some of the blue shields in my vault and not feel bad when I run out of them all, because I probably will at some point. You know what I'm saying? So I do agree. I do think that we can keep the purple salvage items here, and I think that's totally fine. I have no problem with that, but maybe just lessening the amount. Because most players and most sweaty players right now are already running blues and purples anyway. For my filthy casuals like myself, at least give us a chance to run some blues so that when we fight those purple shield cats, we can at least have a chance, if we play smart, to put them down and take their purples off of them, you know? Moving on to their next point here, they're talking about onboarding related stuff, all right? A practice range. No more needs to be said on this. It's just a standard. Yes, I agree. I don't even need to say nothing on this. We are build crafting. We are trying to make the coolest runner build that we can, and we can't test it anywhere? Come on, I know it took over 10 years for the range to come to Destiny 2. Lessons should have been learned there, Bungie. We need that practice range ASAP. I mean, like, we should see that mug in season 2, man. If we don't, even if it's bare bones, even if it's just a little simple area where we just fight a UESC bot that continues to respawn, and we can set it to be a ghost, a commander, a grenadier, whatever. Just give us that. That's cool. That gives us an opportunity to finagle, and then y'all can expand upon it in later seasons. I'm good with that, but we just need something here, right? Just something. Come on now. Back to their point here, though, or the next point, I should say, a practice arena. They said this doesn't need to be a formalized mode, just some sort of environment with varied terrain that you can queue into where we can run our build and kill each other with respawns. Don't even need to separate teams from solos or duos. Players freely enter and leave lobbies as they want. or when their queue pops. We are virtualized minds, so it makes sense that we could have some type of virtual training environment. I didn't even think about this. I think this could be cool. They can even make it even simpler and just make it for your party, right? Or for your crew. So just you and the homies can go in and y'all can free for all and test stuff out. I think that could be cool, right? And again, they can further flesh it out in due time, but just give us a little something to start with. You know what I mean? They also said a beginner queue for perimeter and dire marsh that's hard capped at level 15 with half the player spawns. This gives new players or even just folks getting back into the game after a wipe plenty of time to get used to things and work through the early priority contracts. By the time they're forced into regular lobbies, they already have plenty of hours and faction progress under their belt. Fewer folks bouncing off before they fully get into the game, or I think they mean we'll have fewer folks bouncing off before they get fully into the game. I'm gonna keep reading here before I double back to this. I'm gonna list background queuing again here for emphasis, excuse me. If you let folks do something while they're in queue, it just feels better. And then a tutorial, important though lower priority than the above two, just some training modules that take you through the basic systems of the game and shell abilities, reward credits, or enhanced kits for completing them. Could be a good chance to bring in some lore elements too. Make these bootleg MIDA runner modules that help get non-corpo runners up to speed. All right, so back to a beginner queue. This can be good or bad, and the reason why I say good or bad is because people will always find funky ways to farm clips, right? People will spend money on buying new copies or try doing account sharing or do anything like that to get fresher accounts to be able to frag out on my beginner compadres up until level 15 and find a way to rinse and repeat, right? I don't know how they do it, but they always find a way, you know? That's my only concern there. Outside of that, I think a beginner queue can be cool. Make it optional, right? Don't mandate it, because if I'm somebody and I just want to throw hands, I want to get to the nitty gritty, let me get to the nitty gritty, right? Give me maybe an option to say, you know, beginner queue turned on, or click on beginner queue or click on regular queue. Give me that option and I'm fine with it. Don't force me into beginner stuff. I like to get my hands dirty, and I learn from getting whooped on, if I'm being totally honest. If I get rocked by numerous cracked teams, I start to learn and I start to play situations back and figure things out, and that's just how I like to do it. Don't put me in no guppy weenie hut queue. Nah, I'm cool. Let me go throw hands. You know what I'm saying? So they give it or make it an option, I'm with it. As for background queuing, again, I'm a bit indifferent on that. When it comes to the tutorial, they do give I guess for lack of a better term, like a half-assed beginner tutorial. And it's cool. It doesn't really explain much. You just go in, do a half-assed mission and try to exfil, but they don't really explain the shield system, the recharge system, you know, looting, what items are. Like, I do think they can do a better job of breaking that all down, so that way before you go into your first raid, even though you got to learn in the wild, you still have a better idea of what's going on, right? Being somewhat equipped mentally is going to be better than not being equipped at all. You know what I'm saying? So I can rock with the tutorial here. All right. Getting back on it, this individual talks about topics that may be controversial here. All right. So I got to preface by saying that their first point, at least 2 timed events that initiate in the first 5 minutes of a round. There needs to be immediate profit opportunities that provide value-oriented players with an objective beyond just PvP. It also just gives folks more to do, which I think is generally fun. And these can be, for example, some kind of patrolling warden or boss class enemy on every map to hunt. It spawns immediately at the start, or some kind of mid-round event that always triggers, be that warden, lockdown, anomaly, etc. We need more variety of these as well, of course. Now, I will say yes to variety. I love variety, and having, you know, 6 to 8 different events that they can mix up depending on the map, I think is going to be nice, right? Even if they had their own lockdown equivalent for every map, right? Like there was a lockdown equivalent, we called it something else on perimeter, on outpost, whatever. I think that could be dope, you know, just to give us something, and just so that Bungie isn't spreading itself thin trying to be creative, you know what I'm saying? So I'm on board with that, right? Some type of patrolling warden or boss class enemy, I'm on board with that as well. I don't think they should spawn immediately though, because what happens is people that get people that get, the good spawn, that spawn close to the boss. Again, we're humans, and as humans, we're going to learn a path of least resistance. So we're going to find a way to spawn next to the boss, melt the boss, get the loot, hide until we can exfil. You know what I'm saying? Or I won't, but a lot of people will figure that out, right? So I do like the idea that a boss can spawn randomly. Just let them spawn in once the exfils come in, right? The exfils come in, what, 3 to 4 minutes after you are already on the map. So once the exfils come in, boom, that roaming boss spawns. You got to go find it to put it down, get some good loot, and then get off the map or get off a Tau Ceti or, the marathon ship with whatever goods that you were able to get. And I think that would be a little bit more balanced. So I agree with this for the most part, just with some small alterations there. Their next point, reduce the map-wide noisiness of miscellaneous player activities. Before I say anything, let me keep reading here. I think the main thing here is that for folks who play passively, the game forces a pure sneaking playstyle to the game forces a pure sneaking playstyle to too high of a degree. We don't need to harp on PvP being central to the game, but hunters should work for their meal. I feel like this is a point not stated enough. The game kind of treats folks attempting to pursue PvP or clear a lobby like babies who need to be guided to the location of every other squad/player. The level of noise and visual indicators involved with player activities is basically doing the entire job of hunters for them. Hunt all you want, but as things are in the game but as things are in the game, this sentence is whooping me, man. Hunt all you want, but as things are in the game is essentially catering to making things as easy as possible for a pure hunter playstyle. They butchered that sentence somewhere, but I just read it as is, all right? They say gunshots are fine as is. I think they tune things well. Key rooms shouldn't broadcast to the whole map. Enough said. Same point on doing the job of hunters for them. They want to rotate and camp key rooms, fine, but the game doesn't need to literally just be telling them where to go. Even Tarkov doesn't do this. Actually give folks an opportunity to get out with their winnings. Exfils, don't broadcast a tower until the last 20 to 30 seconds. Same deal. Want to rotate and camp exfils, valid, but a full minute of a tower broadcasting into the sky means you can reach an exfil from literally anywhere on the map. They are already fully exposed and generally located in kill boxes. This is another issue of unnecessarily doubling down on making something dangerous and risky. Maybe something else in this vein I'm forgetting. The main issue at play here is that if you want to do basically anything uncontested, your only option is to hide and wait until the last 5 minutes. This isn't fun or even that tense because it overly encourages absolutely minimizing any and all risk. The problem here is dynamics. There needs to be space in the game. Okay. We struggled through that, but we read it. All right. So do I agree with this? Sort of, kind of. Do I disagree with this? Sort of, kind of. All right. Gunshots are fine as is. They think they tune things well. I agree, right? Key rooms shouldn't broadcast to the whole map. I do agree. Maybe they could broadcast POI wide, right? Maybe we could meet in the middle and say, hey, look, like you hear sounds of key rooms being opened up if you're within that POI, but you should not be able to quite hear things. If you're across a POI, you should be able to, key room camp or pull up on somebody in the key room just by chance, by luck, or just by you thinking, man, somebody could have a key to the hauler observation deck. Man, let's go see what it's going for. So I guess kind of what they mentioned, if you want to kind of camp out and see what's going on, you can do that, right? But maybe if you're already in hauler and somebody uses a key, you can kind of hear what's going on a little bit and you can contest them there. But you shouldn't be across the map able to you shouldn't be able to hear somebody across the map if they're in the key room. I do think that is a little bit silly there. For the exfil thing, I don't really care too much about. Broadcast it, it's fine. I mean, and I'm not trying to compare at all. Arc Raiders does something similar when you try to activate an exfil, whether if it is on Buried City, you got the train stations, right? If it's on, I almost said Outpost, but if it's on Damn Battlegrounds or Spaceport, right, you have the elevator that has to come up, right? Stella Montes, we're waiting on the train. So I think I like the idea of the exfils broadcasting because it doesn't allow for you to get off the map easy, right? Easy peasy. You can't go find that exfil and just go sit and wait 6 seconds. No, we're gonna let everybody know, hey man, this dude trying to get off the map, bro. get him. You know what I'm saying? If you want to get him, or you can get put down trying to get him, right? The choice is yours. It just gives players another choice, and I'm fine with that, right? I don't really have an issue with that. And I don't think it creates artificial tension either. I mean, I think it's just the way of the road with an extraction shooter, right? Like, you can stealth around all you want, but you got to make some noise to get off the map. And I appreciate there aren't things like hatch keys and stuff like that in this game, so you can't do a full stealth run. You got to make some noise at some point. You know what I'm saying? So I can dig with that. Again, I agree with some points there, but there are some other points I disagree with. I'm curious to hear what you all think about that. Now, moving on to their more controversial section. They said reduce the number of spawns on every map except outposts by 1 squad worth and cryo down to 4 to 5 squads. Ooh, interesting. All right, let me keep reading though. Let me keep reading. Probably a super hot take, but it helps in many ways. It reduces queue times, it reduces the speed of initial encounters, meaning there's more neutral starts, easier contracts, etc. If included with the above changes to events, it allows for more dynamic playstyles due to how it shifts priorities without needing to make any changes to how the game fundamentally works. There is more stuff to go around, it's easier to get resources, and it's easier to get out. This is more PvE friendly, or even just non-PvP viable without much needing to actually change. Cryo is simply too crowded. This is fundamentally why it's so inaccessible to most players. I don't see any way of fixing this while keeping squads at 6. Making cryo easier to get around and exfil also helps to bring the gear floor up rather than exacerbating the existing snowball issue where all good gear is continuously funneled to the top players. The map is super cool and intense on its own and should be more widely experienced. Man, interesting. Okay, so my thoughts in regard to this. Again, I am a PvP, like I look for PvP, right? Like, I want to throw hands. I enjoy throwing hands. I enjoy the occasional third party. I enjoy when somebody tries to pull up on me and the homies after we wipe the squad, right? That fourth party, y'all can keep that, bro. Y'all can keep that, right? If the probability of being third party stays consistent, and maybe I'm a little bit masochistic in thinking this, but if that stays consistent, I'm cool with that, right? If the fourth parties become lesser and lesser, right? And that tends more so to just happen on Dire Marsh. That doesn't really happen to me on perimeter, on outposts. It really doesn't happen because there's only 4 teams there. And I'm gonna be totally honest and transparent. I haven't played enough cryo to like formulate an opinion on this. Me and my homies have done a couple cryo runs and we've gotten out every single time. We've only had 1 to 2 PvP engagements on every cryo run that we've gotten into. Are we just lucky? Probably. I've seen many streamers get, you know, third, fourth, and fifth partied on cryo, and I'm like, man, that's crazy because that has not been our experience. Now we play a little bit more methodical, right? We're trying to get clearance cards and we're trying to, you know, just kind of cruise through. We're listening to what's going on around us. So if we're ready to take a fight, we can, or if we want to avoid a fight, we just kind of, you know, chill out a little bit, right? But it's been fine. Again, maybe that's a us thing. Maybe we are playing a play style that isn't popular. Maybe it's a bit contrary to what everybody else is doing. I have no idea, but I haven't really had many issues on Cryo Archive. Again, maybe I need to spend this upcoming weekend with it and my tune might change. We'll see. But lowering us down by a team on Dire Marsh and perimeter, man, again, I'm not too sure. Maybe it's just the way I play. Maybe it's just my experience, but I haven't really like wanted to headbutt a wall in on either maps, right? I may have had 1 or 2 runs on Dire Marsh that was just like, bruh, come on, man. But for the most part, again, in perimeter, I have 1 to 2 engagements. On Dire Marsh, for the most part, like I'll have 2 engagements on average, with the occasional third one that we've been able to hold our own on, but it hasn't been crazy. And I'm not the best player in the world. Me and my homies aren't the best players in the world at all. We all have full-time jobs and we probably get a chance to play marathon again. Like, I play the most out of my friend group, about 12 to 15 hours a week. My other homies probably play more in an 8 to 10 hour a week range. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Does it make it more PvE friendly? Yes. Does it make raids like less tense? Yes. Like, I just don't know. I just don't know. Maybe something Bungie could do for a week without telling us is just do a test where they pull a team out of every single map with the exception of Outposts, keep Outposts at 4 teams and just see how it plays, see community sentiment, and do their data thingy, punch numbers, see if people are enjoying more, if people have greater exfil rates, if people aren't complaining as much, etc. And then from there, they can roll it out to us and say, over the last week, we've tested this and this has been player sentiment. In comparison to the weeks prior, people weren't rocking with it. Now player sentiment has increased. We're going to keep it like this, right? Or honestly, Bungie, keep it on the tuck, keep it on the low. You don't have to tell us everything, right? I kind of think it was a mistake with them telling us how many teams are on a map. Like, we may have figured it out once upon a time, but honestly, you should have just kept us guessing, right? Like, you should have just kept us guessing. Some people would have speculated, 4 teams on Outpost, but we would have never been able to fully confirm. You know what I'm saying? Some things you ain't got to tell us, right? Some things you should tell us, but, let us know when you're listening and when you have acknowledged our feedback, etc. But some of the little nuances there, y'all can keep that on the hush. All right, cool. Moving on to their next point, they said this is their most controversial, but ultimately necessarily, ultimately it's their most necessary point, is what they're saying. SBMM. This is the most controversial, but the game is heavily PvP centric, so no way around it. Folks may bring up queue times, but an SBMM system doesn't need to be super strict in the sense. Assemble lobbies of only folks of the nearly the same MMR. Whoa, that sentence, I don't know, but let's keep rolling. Like it should in ranked, it just needs to actually be sorting lobbies based on performance rather than not at all. It's fine if the lobby contains varied MMR levels as long as there is some degree of sorting happening. I think this is the biggest point to be made here. It does not need to be strict. It just needs to be at least accountable for skill level during lobby assembly. For example, if there are X people entering queue, and it's sorting into lobbies, it sorts on level and then again on skill. It's fine if this results in skill variances of any degree, as long as the sorting step occurs while prioritizing queue times. There are no quote unquote sweat lobbies. It's just not going to sort players at the top with players at the bottom. Folks may point to Tarkov and say that game doesn't have SBMM, but 1, it's one of the most hardcore games on the market. That is its niche, and 2, sneaking/ratting is much more effective as you can kill anyone, even the best geared, most skilled player in a few bullets or even just 1 bullet. The absolute ease of death is a natural balancing factor that Marathon, even with his relatively fast TTK, does not have. Do I agree with this point? Yes and no. And I have to explain this. SBMM, and I actually have to put an asterisk next to this when I really sit and think about this, because before I say anything else, actually, no, I'll talk about that last. So SBMM, it can protect the guppies. It can protect the casuals, right? What may happen from SBMM though, which can be really, really tricky, is we could start to run into the whole Arc Raiders fiasco, as I call it, right? Where Arc Raiders is now mostly a PvE game with a PvP opportunity into it, right? When you have SBMM, like I can just imagine all the guppies being at the bottom, and what do they want to default to doing? Teaming up, right? So now Marathon starts to pivot into being more of this PvE experience. And again, I know that's not Bungie's vision for it, but that could definitely end up being the case. And look, like I think it's fine. But I think it kind of takes away, and like once you gosh, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Once you start feeding PvE enthusiasts, man, like they have this insatiable hunger, right? Where they play through all the content over and over and over again, and they get all the loot with all the kumbayas and everything, and they just want more. Because it becomes boring for them. There's nothing more to make the game dynamic, right? So now Bungie, we need more. And Bungie starts to lean more into the PvE aspect, and the PvP people like myself are like, yo, what's going on, man? Like, we supposed to be throwing hit. It could just get really, really weird and funky really, really quick in an extraction shooter, like with like SBMM. And I know this individual said loose SBMM, and I'm gonna be totally honest. I think there is some form of SBMM in the game right now. That was my asterisk point. I think Bungie has SBMM in this game in some capacity. And reason why I say that is because when I watch Astacross play, or I watch Frostbolt or Benny, some of these teams that they fight, I'll be honest, me and my homies have never ran into cats this cracked. We just haven't at all. We've run into good teams, But like the teams we run into that are even good, like there's still chinks in the armor that we're able to exploit. Like we don't run into frost bolts and we don't run into bennies and aster crosses and people like that at all on Cryo Archive, on Outpost, on Dire March. We have not ran into really any hyenas. Like, yes, we have, right? But it's far and few between. It's far and few between. So I think there is some type of SBMM in the game. And again, like I mentioned before, we are not the best players in the world. Like the bubble shotgunners and stuff like that in Cryo, far and few between that we've ran into. And the ones that we ran into, we were able to put down. Like they're bubbling up. We don't go in with bubble shields. We go in with some smoke grenades and our shotties. We let them drop the bubbles and we bring the pain to them. You know what I'm saying? And we've been able to win most of those gunfights, man. So I do think there's some type of SBMM. Maybe it's not SBMM. Maybe it's their own matchmaking algorithm that takes into account your total gear worth, that takes into account your skill level, maybe your kill death ratio, your actual account level, things like that. But I think something like this is already in play. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I have no idea. I've heard some complaints from some lower skill players talking about getting stomped out, and I just scratch my head because I rarely ever get stomped out. Even when I lose gunfights, I'm in handicap situations. I'm in 1v2s, 1v3s that I can't win, but I still get a knock, or in some cases 2 knocks, right? So like these gunfights that I end up losing, I still could win from a handicap. And I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm not the best player in the world at all. Like by a long shot, I'm probably not even the best player on this side of the United States. Actually, I know I'm not, right? But I don't know. I just scratch my head on that. Should they make it stricter? Maybe they can turn some dials and play around and just see player sentiment. Like I think Bungie should continue doing a lot of testing in the background. They can test out a lot of this stuff, you know, a few days at a time, a week at a time, here and there, and compile numbers, right? Compile player counts, player sentiment, do in-game surveys, out-of-game surveys. Like I think they emailed me and I still need to fill out the survey that they sent to me. Like just keep doing stuff like that and keep turning some dials and we can see what comes of it. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Really curious to hear what you all think about that. Once this video goes live, really curious to read the comments. Their last point, it says content obviously more forward looking, or content obviously more forward looking. Man, the American language is crazy. Contrary to popular belief, I think Night March will help here. I'm willing to let Bungie cook, as I think it's more than just a night variant map. And I agree. I actually might do a speculation video. Night perimeter, though preferably a new, even larger map, sort of like a permanent beginner map. Less player spawns, no rooks, but more mob patrols, so lots of PvE action. The lowest loot value, even lower than perimeter, kind of like a designated zone purely for running generic contracts. Let me just keep reading. At least one more primary intelligent enemy type. I'm sure this is coming, but it feels sorely needed. Every map should have one unique local mob that is equally hostile to UESC and runners, some sort of dire marsh predator. A territorial small flying creature on perimeter, a kind of malfunctioning utility drone on outpost, that kind of thing. If you actually read all this, thanks, LOL. I just feel like I've been reading so many different points in different threads and feel like if I could just put everything I was thinking into a post, I could get over my ADHD compulsion to discuss these things. Yeah, so couple points here. As they were mentioning, like Night March, I definitely believe that's going to be more than just a night variant map. There are some things that have alluded to that. I don't know, maybe Bungie is just hyping us up. I have no idea, but I do think it'd be more than just a night variation for sure. A night perimeter where you can just run through generic contracts, PvE action, yada, yada, yada. I kind of think that's a waste of a nighttime perimeter mode. I think the consensus is everybody feels like perimeter is the weakest map, and making its night mode hit, like making it an absolute banger with events going on and PvP opportunity and so on and so forth, I think that can really like boost the cool points when it comes to perimeter. So wasting that on like a beginner map type of thing, I don't think is worth the squeeze. I don't at all. I think they should focus on making nighttime perimeter an absolute banger, just like I believe nighttime dire marsh will be. And then having that, or not initial, but having that extra intelligent enemy type, yes, give us that, give us a little bit of variety. I'm tired of knifing ticks and beating up UESC bots. Like, even if they continue to spec into the UESC soldiers and give us, you know, weird type of variations, I'm all for that as well to hold us over. Do that. until you can, you know, bring more, you know, fit compilers. It's small, maybe not a fit compiler, since that's like the cryo archive boss, but you know, give us the 4, give us another alien enemy archetype. Be creative, have fun, Bungie. Like, you all can do this. The world is your oyster here, you know. And the whole notion that every map should have like one unique local mob that is equally hostile to the UESC and to runners, I think that could be cool, right? Just having this entity that doesn't care if you're a runner or doesn't care if you're the UESC, is going to throw hands with you. I think that could be cool, and that could be like a very, very interesting PvE style third party type of ordeal. So again, for this post right here, Rabbit Hexley, I appreciate it. Like, you got a lot of wheels turning, and I'm very curious to hear what you all have to say about everything I covered. This video actually ran way longer than expected. I apologize for that. And if you made it to the end, I appreciate you so much for coming and watching. Be sure you like the video, hype the video, do all that fun stuff, and drop your comments down below. I'm very interested to hear you all's takes in regard to this all. And until next time, your boy Cray is signing out.